What's up, everybody? It's Brittany with Free Lady. We're on episode 18. I'm super excited to have Taryn Perry on here with us today. She has been such an incredible nutritionist, a holistic nutritionist, that I might add, for me and my life. And so we become friends. We met through the Den, our coaching group. And so it's just been a really wild ride to make changes with my body through her. So again, we're going to start off with three things that we're grateful for. I'm very grateful for Taryn. She's definitely helped me focus more on what I really needed to do and dial in, especially with my hormones, which is going to be a lot that we talk about today. Number two, I'm so thankful that I get to see all the colors of fall here in Colorado, even though it's windy today and the leaves are falling off. I'm like so sad, but I'm still grateful. And number three, I am grateful to be alive, So Taryn, what are you grateful for today?
Ooh, you got some good ones. You know what? I am grateful to be here. I'm glad that we are doing this. Our friendship, as you meet new people in your adult life, the friendships are different. I feel like they're so authentic, and real really, really quickly. Or maybe I've just had the good fortune of finding that in you. And lastly, I would have to say the fall color is changing as well. I love fall. It's the most beautiful season. I love a good summer, but I love fall as well.
Oh, it's just the freaking best. And you guys, yesterday was her birthday, even though you're seeing this on Monday. But so technically it was her birthday last week, but it was her birthday. So everyone write in the comments, happy birthday to her, please. So for me, you guys, a part of being free is having a body that works for us. And so if we don't take care of our bodies, how are we supposed to take care of our families and, our when we're working in our jobs, and if there's like an emergency or when we have to protect ourselves, if we are not in tune with our bodies and we're not in shape, that is not being free. I honestly very wholeheartedly know that being free is having a good mental health and my body is working correctly for any situation that comes. So I've struggled with my body weight for years, constantly, but it's also very mental for me. As you guys know, I was shamed for a couple of different people in my family. They've called me fat my whole life. And, Taryn knows this. And so, you have that like mental weirdness in your mind. Like if I don't work out, if I don't eat well, like just one day, then I start telling myself, that I'm going to gain weight. But I got to release that at the women's event recently in the Lion's Den, which I talked about in the last episode. And I just released that because it wasn't serving me any good. And I've also been working on that. So what intrigued me about Taryn is that she has an holistic approach about nutrition. So go ahead and tell us about like what got you into nutrition and why did you do the holistic route?
Um, okay, so I really started back in 2008. At the time I had two kids. So my now oldest, she was two, and then my son was just born. And I was working full time, and in your early 30s, you kind of felt like you could eat relatively whatever you want, work out. And then, I was in this whole like, oh, I'm breastfeeding, so all this weight's gonna fall off, just like all the Instagram moms. And
Right.
that wasn't the case. And so I held on to this weight for, probably like 3 months after. So it was like 6 months postpartum. I felt like I was like, where's this? Nothing's changing. Like, this is so weird. I'm eating like I was. I'm
Right.
breastfeeding. Like, why are things just kind of falling off? Um, I realized that my interpretation, my relationship with food and workouts were so different in my 30s. Because I guess they were the same as what they were probably in my 20s and my teens, as I just carried it through because I just hadn't experienced the hormonal changes necessarily and how that affects, our ability to metabolize and our metabolic health, if you will. And hormones, I didn't really think about hormones having such an influence because, I was on the pill and then off the pill, got pregnant, and then, nursing a child, and then got pregnant again, and then breastfeeding again, and went on, so and never went back on birth control. But once I got into my later 30s and had my second two, I was like, okay, things are a whole bunch of different. Like it wasn't easy to lose that weight, with my second. But I ate a ton, but I was just eating a ton of food basically based off what somebody was telling me to do.
Right.
And then I just kind of caught this interest in, you know what? Nobody talks to women, like postpartum moms, about adequate nutrition for their hormones.
Mhm.
Like nobody
Right.
tells you that your hormones change drastically after you hit 35. So I
Right.
was like, you know what? I want to go in, I'm going to go and study nutrition because I don't think that there's like, I know enough about nutrition to be dangerous, but I
Mhm.
wanted to approach it from a holistic perspective because I was not the Instagram mom that lost all of her baby weight in 6 months from breastfeeding. And I got so fucking pissed seeing
Ah,
constantly, right? Like just
yeah.
shoved in their faces about, not shoved in our faces, but like, it's just like, oh, interview these celebrities. Oh, you look amazing. How did you lose all that weight? I'm just breastfeeding. And I'm like, fuck that. No, that is not true. They probably have a chef. They're probably starving themselves. Like maybe they didn't even
Right.
have a kid, like all those things
Right.
race through your mind because you're like
Yeah.
hormonal and bitchy. Um,
Totally.
you know, but so I went back to school for nutrition. It was an online course for a year, which I did that before it was cool to do online courses. COVID debacle we got into. But I went back because I wanted to study it from a holistic perspective. I wanted all different avenues and influences to truly kind of make up the holistic approach to nutrition that I thought it needed to be viewed as versus, oh, you
Right.
know what, you should be vegan. Oh, you should be paleo. Oh, you should do this. Because I've done it all, like
Right.
Atkins, paleo, like I've done and been a part of it all. And I wanted to find out how to source a nutrition strategy that was aligned with my core values and my interests and my, not that I have a cultural eating, necessarily, but, just my interests. I didn't want to not eat something because, it was bad. I wanted to be able to enjoy something because it made me feel good and I enjoyed,
Right.
the process. So that's kind of how I got into it and just has kind of evolved and snowballed from there.
That is so cool because it definitely, there's so many things online. And for me, I was like, there's so many things. And I've been paleo. I've done, the grams, the macros. I've been vegan or plant-based. I've done all these things. I've tried all these things. And I'm always pretty consistent about it, but I've never known like what my true macros are. And oh, did you get it?
Oh,
Oh,
dude, look at how big he is
he's
now.
so big.
This is my son, Vinny.
Hi.
He just got home from school. So
Oh,
I'm say
hello,
hi.
hello. Those are one of your four kids. Wow.
That was number two.
Number two. It's
Yeah,
crazy. Time flies. It's
it
so
sure does.
crazy. Um, and so, nothing was ever happening for me,
Mhm.
with like doing CrossFit for years. I mean, there was a point in my life where I was like so crazy into CrossFit that I was working out 3 hours a day. And that was the only time I noticed change. And I'm like, I
Mhm.
don't I don't want to work out 3 hours a day. Like, I don't do CrossFit anymore. I work out at home. And so that's why it was very important for me to like have hired Taryn because she did look at it as a holistic approach. She did tell me about my hormones. She did tell me about what my true macros are. And I'm pretty educated in all this, but I just needed her guidance. And it has changed my life. And I probably will post the pictures I think I sent you with this video. I still have a lot to go for me personally, but I feel great. I feel so great. I have so much energy. Taryn also hooked me up with Idaho Health and Hormones. You can work with them anywhere in the state. They are so amazing because I had no idea about hormones, you guys. So, speaking of hormones, so Taryn got me off of being on birth control of 20 years. And I was extremely scared to do that because I've gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in the past of trying to get off or not having the right support around me.
Yeah.
And since then, like I was like, I'm getting off right when I started with you. and I have done trial and error with non-synthetic hormone replacements, which was very important to me. And I feel great. I have so much energy, like I'm sleeping better and all this stuff. But I wanted to ask you, because this is coming out more and more, what are your thoughts and how do you really feel about birth control?
Oh God, it's such a loaded question because I want
It
to
is.
be sensitive to those that, like anything, it's a personal choice, right? But I do think there's enough information that's surfacing that is factual information. Like, and I'm one thing, like, I'm somebody that's, I'm not going to hop on the train because some crunchy mom blog said, oh, get off birth control. Like,
Right.
if there's facts behind it and there is, statistics and there are medical findings and there is like, you know, legitimate content to back up why birth control, can wreak havoc.
Yeah.
And I'm on board to understand and or to at least be open-minded a little bit. So that being said, I wish that I knew. I mean, I'm fortunate that I didn't have a lot of the challenges that I know that you've gone through, and a lot of clients are going through, especially like there's such an uptick in PCOS, endometriosis. I mean, the laundress, ovarian cysts. I mean, you name it, somebody has an experience with those things, and you can't help but not think, because the common theme is those everybody was on a birth control of some sort, whether the pill form, the IUD,
Right.
whatever the whatever ring, there's so many of them. And when those started coming out, that's when my kind of radar went up a little bit. I was like, wait a
Huh.
minute. Okay, now we're inserting something to completely stop a natural occurring thing in
Right.
the bodies. So, like, and that was before I was even in tune with anything wellness. I was in commercial real estate. So, none of that was, crossing my plate as far as like, oh, but it was just kind of one of those things like, huh, that seems a little bit foreign to be inserting in your body to stop a natural, God-given creation of a woman, right? Like that's what
Right.
makes female is having a cycle, having a bleed every single month. So,
Yes.
um, I think that I feel so much more equipped and confident with information knowing that I have a teenage daughter and I have two younger girls. They're 8 and 6, but you see puberty hitting in girls so much younger. Fortunately, mine are all late bloomers, but there's a lot less chemical induced things that go into their body. So
Right.
I feel like I really think that that has a lot to do with why they bloom when their bodies are ready, right?
Absolutely.
I just feel more equipped and knowledgeable now to know the detrimental effects of birth control, and that I will not make the decision, like as long as she's under my roof, that would be
Yeah.
something that we won't be doing.
Right.
When she's an adult and decides that that's something appropriate for her, and she is now well versed to know how we think about things, to do her own research. So
Right.
um, I just wish that I knew that for myself. However, I do feel fortunate that I didn't have any detrimental experiences for it to affect me personally, but I've just now I feel it because I have so many people close in my life that have gone through just terrible things
Right.
as a result.
Yeah. I mean, talk about like being on something for 20 years that basically is telling your body that you're pregnant, you
Uh-huh.
know? And so there was a girl I saw on Instagram the other day, and she was like, it's so different. She's talking about dating. She was, it's so different when you're dating on birth control and when you're off birth control, because where your mental stated. And I was like, oh my, oh my God, like, yeah, and how your body, like my body just has always struggled to release, fat and everything like that. I have a little bit of PCOS because of it. I've had um a surgery to get types of cancer off of my cervix. Like this was only 6 years ago, but I'm okay. And I know, I was like, God, that's got to be birth control. It's got to be birth control, because I knew in my body that something never felt whole. It never felt like real. And I think I've had a lot of problems with everything in my body because of that. And not, I'm not saying to anyone out there that birth control is like the devil, you know what I mean? Like I didn't have help when I was a kid. when I was sexually active with my first boyfriend, I didn't have my parents to talk to. I had myself, and I knew I didn't want to get pregnant. So like, what did I do? I went to Planned Parenthood.
Hmm.
I felt like I needed to be responsible. But even in Planned Parenthood, you're not getting educated of, what different, I mean, there's condoms and there's birth control, and when you're young, you're so afraid that the condom's going to break and all this stuff, but it really is a part of like your nutrition and your wellness that affects you as and so on so many levels. And I'm just glad there's more information coming out there,
Hmm.
and like when you say your kids are natural bloomers, going into like, I mean, you look at all the girls today and even men or boys, like they're just going and they're just expanding, and like it's crazy because of the chemicals in our food, birth control. And so your children are blossoming when they should be naturally, not when they're in like fourth grade,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know and so I want to talk to you about like how important is it that people need to understand what is actually in our food, being like healthy, and when you're buying Doritos and stuff, like, those chemicals, what are those chemicals doing to our bodies, and not only our bodies, our minds?
Well, the chemical, I mean, our food supply has been fucked for years,
Right.
and it's getting worse. I mean, if you read the headlines and you read about these giant elites that are buying up land and openly speaking to wanting to create genetically modified food because they want to freak us out that the end of the world is coming, it's such bullshit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, these big food manufacturers are literally killing us because they want us to rely on the system to be medicated. It's this
Yeah.
whole cycle.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and right, I mean, like they know what they're doing.
Oh
They're not
yeah.
like, oh, this is a fun new like colorful cereal. Let's try it and see. Like they know exactly what's going into it. I mean,
Yeah.
you just have to go and look. I mean, okay, Halloween's right around the corner. Here's a great example. The US, if you look at the ingredients on all of the little Halloween candy that's going to get handed out in a couple days, or in 2 weeks here, versus the Halloween candy that will be handed out in the UK by the very same food manufacturer. Very
Mm-hmm.
different ingredients because
Huh.
the US is like, sure, we'll take on all the shit because you know what? We're going to get them all to be reliant on us and need all the medication, and we'll just pay each other and slap each other on the back, and it'll
Right.
be a grand old party. Um, but what happens with all of the food and the chemicals in our foods, they become these endocrine disruptors, which what happens with that is that starts to impede on your hormones. So when your hormones are out of whack, men or women, right, because you're consuming a higher volume, bless you, of used foods, right? You're eating the processed foods, Doritos, the colorful foods that are not seasonal. So I'm not talking about colorful vegetables and, one ingredient food. I'm talking about all the colorful cereals and
Yeah.
chips. And like you just go and read it. And if it's got anything of color in it, like red 40, blue 4, I mean, 9 yards, then those are completely fucking with our ability to have an optimal metabolic health because now we have these um, foreign chemicals that are disrupting our entire ability to naturally adapt and metabolize because it's like, wait a minute, I don't know what to do with that Dorito, but if you give me an almond,
Yeah.
an apple, I know exactly what to do with that. Like our bodies
Right.
are so innate in that regard. I mean, and so many other regards, but we've dismissed being able to trust it. It knows what to do on how to digest and utilize nutrients that come from, say, an almond or an apple or anything
Right.
else of now normal food versus the packaged shit that's easy and cheap, right?
Yeah.
And so that's like, well, I don't know what to do this. Well, I'm going to utilize some of it. It might be an energy source right out of the gates because it's probably a carbohydrate. And so I'll use it for energy. But then, when that wears off, I'm going to be so depleted that
Yeah.
I'm going to set off this trigger in my system that's going to say, I want more. I'm hungry. So the chemicals that are in there, they're designed to want you to crave more. So what do? You go have some more. And so then it's like, okay, well, that energy is worn off. I'm not utilizing it as a natural energy source, for optimal metabolic health. I'm going to use that and store it as fat because I'm getting so much of it. It's just, compounding itself. So that's when we start seeing, the obesity rates rise because they're
So
getting told to
sad.
go buy all this cheap shit.
It's so sad. I mean, if you're not paying attention to this country, like get off your ass and just look around you. It's not on the news. Look around you, because and it's so sad to me, there's so much obesity in this world. And, if you're watching and you're overweight, like we want to help you. Taryn wants to help you because it's not just like what you look like and what you feel like. It's a game changer in your mind. Like it's literally killing your brain cells, all this stuff. And what's sad is like, what's the cheapest? What is the cheapest in the grocery store? What is the cheapest when you're driving through a drive-through? It is all the chemicals. It's all the things that are not good for us. Like, don't get me wrong, some of those things taste really good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like they do. But like Taryn says, they're designed that way. And I had no idea that those chemicals also do something in your body to tell you like that you're hungry and you need more. I didn't know that actually. I just knew that they're bad and they're killing us slowly. But when you look around, so many people are overweight, so many people are on medications and things like that, when our vitamins and our medications are in our fruits and vegetables. They're
Yeah.
right there,
Hmm.
you
Yep.
know but sometimes that's really hard to even get like fresh things. Like if you were to give someone advice of like how do I change my eating habits in a cheaper way, what would you tell them?
It's actually, I think that's probably the biggest
Hard.
misconception that is out there. And I
Yeah,
do really think it comes from these food manufacturers. They want you to
yeah,
think that it's really healthy to eat, or
right.
sorry, very expensive to eat healthy because they're going to slap organic on anything that's going to be deemed healthy. Well, and if we go down the rabbit hole of what the standards of practice are for a food to be qualified as organic, it is like literally like one rung below what everything else you can get at the grocery store. So let me kind of approach that in a couple ways,
Yeah,
and maybe a good, better, best. How about that? If that's okay.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
so
please.
good is just shop the outskirts of the grocery store, right? So there's so many affordable grocery stores in the greater United States. There's Winco, there's Costco if you buy in bulk. If you're a hunter, it's hunting season for a lot of those that are, kind of in the not necessarily Midwest because I'm in Idaho, and this is hunting season. So I'm learning more about hunting season, by the way.
Yeah,
But
thanks.
if you're a hunter, obviously going and securing your own meat and being able to house that in a big deep freezer, big money saver right there.
Right.
But shopping the outskirts of the grocery stores and hitting up Trader Joe's, going to Albertsons, Kroger's, Winco, whatever those stores are that are in, where you usually shop. It's just a matter of taking the time to have a list and know what you're going to buy what you're going to eat,
Yeah,
right? So starting on the outskirts and buying those whole foods and the seasonal ones. And there's a great debate. Should you do organic or should you do non-organic? And
right,
you know what? It depends on what looks fresh to me. So I'm
right.
going to buy based on what I see to look fresh. So bananas and the thick skin fruits, like I'm not going to buy them organic. If there is good looking kiwis that are organic, then I'm going to buy those. If they're good looking kiwis that are non-organic, I'm going to buy those if they're in season. Always buy in season foods. And if not, then frozen is like the next best thing
Hmm,
because you
hmm.
can they're usually flash frozen. And so they're going to be sustainable. You can throw them in your freezer. You can take them
Right.
out, and batch cook them. But there's a lot of great deals if you're a coupon clipper. I mean, like you can really find ways to get out of the grocery store under $100 of a week's worth of food, depending on how many people you have in family.
Right.
And finding out what specials like the meat department's running. If you go through the center aisles getting legumes out of the can, coconut milk out of the can. I mean, stuff
Yeah.
that's that does have a shelf life that is a natural food.
Mhm.
It's going to be something that's worth stacking your pantry with. But you don't, it doesn't have to be so grossly expensive because
Right.
we're buying all this fancy shit that
I
it's
know.
jumping out at us literally and in our carts because there are those end caps that they're designed. I mean, if you guys go through the history of grocery stores, like they literally, there's an art to it and they have the food
Yes.
located where it's at because they tracked the eye and then they know that that's going in the shopping cart. So there's a science behind grocery stores for sure. But
Yeah.
you know, I would say, shopping seasonally is good. Best would be, or I'd say seasonally and also going through the frozen foods. And the absolute best is if you could grow your own food,
Right.
your vegetables and seasonal fruits, then grow them in your yard if you have the ability to do that. Or there's so many of these cool homegrown kits that you can get that you can get your own plants in your home and
Right.
they're regulated temperature wise and they're just like literally you buy the things and you stuff them in and boom, you've got lettuce. Like how brilliant is that?
Yeah. And you can do it with your neighbors, like you can do that with your neighbors because when you grow stuff, you always have an abundance of like too much,
Hmm.
or you can learn how to like freeze dry it for emergencies, which is a whole nother game that like I need to talk to Ann Travis about. She's crazy about it. It's so cool. But there's so many ways that you can do things. And if you're busy, how awesome is meal prepping, Taryn? Meal prepping is great,
If you,
for
oh, whole, I mean,
yeah.
especially for people that get through the week or come, dinner time or like, I don't know what to have. I don't know what to make.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, we've had this conversation, right? Say, we're building through things and we were talking about things. I said, okay, well, let's take a look at your week then, Brittany. What's your week going to look like? And I know you're busy with clients. So, okay, let's reverse engineer what your week's going to look like so you can ditch the whole I'm busy bullshit excuse and you have all of that food mapped out and ready for the week and you can really go crazy, you get those meal prep containers and you can batch cook all of your chicken or sausage or ground beef for the week and then you put in the meal containers or you can roast a bunch of vegetables and put them in the fridge or like there's freeze dried meals that you can or freezer meals that you can create yourself.
Right.
Just so many options, but I think we gotten so lazy as a society because there's
Yeah.
far too many healthy convenience
Mhm.
options, which I love healthy convenience. I'm all for it,
Absolutely.
but I think we've gotten so reliant on it that we look to that and then there's no organic meals being prepared anymore because we're too busy.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's like been a game changer for me. And I've gone off and on doing that. But like when you hire a coach, you guys, like, there was something going on in my body. I was like, I always felt really bloated too. And she can look at my thing and she's like, well, you're eating like 2 bananas a day. And I love bananas. And I didn't eat bananas for a long time. And then I brought them back in. And when she educated me with bananas, like there's some foods out there that are actually we're allergic to them as women or men. You just have to find that out. And I just cut them out completely, like I don't even eat bananas anymore because I just want to make sure I'm doing right with my body. So that's why it's good to hire a coach. um and when you meal prep, like just pick a day, pick a moment, and do something that's easy. Yeah, I only cook for myself, but I don't like cooking. I like cooking for other people. So like I cook chicken, I cook quinoa or sweet potatoes, and then I have a food processor and I mix 7 to 8 different vegetables, make a raw salad, put a little, dressing on it if I want to. So that way I'm eating the colors of the rainbow every day. Easy. And it tastes really good. And then your body starts craving those things. And I know when I eat like my rainbow salad, I just have kick-ass week. It's so good for you. It's just amazing the power of food and plants and everything like that, what they do for us and how you start to crave them, because I didn't used to eat vegetables at all because they're just disgusting, and now my body craves them because, and it took me a couple of years to get that way.
It does.
um
Well, and you made a lot of changes too. I mean, before we started working together, you probably had some evolutions of your own with
yeah,
nutrition. You started to learn like, okay, well, that's not favoring me. I'm getting older now. I know that, maybe that's not right for me or it's not working well, but it takes 2 weeks for your palate to truly turn over with your taste buds. So when you start making changes, then, and you start, taking out some of the, highly processed foods that tend to have a high volume of sodium that
Right.
definitely manipulates your taste buds, and you start releasing those, all of a sudden you're like, wow, that fruit was so sweet.
Yeah.
It was almost too sweet. And
Yeah.
then, okay, you know what? I actually do enjoy that vegetable the way I did it. I
Yeah.
love that you do that food processor salad, by the way. Like, that's genius
Oh
because
yeah.
then you're not eating like, big leafy greens and, all
Right.
these chunky vegetables that could be kind of hard to digest sometimes.
Yeah. And like my body, like some vegetables are really hard for me to digest. And oh, cute sticker.
Look at that product placement.
If
I
you guys
literally
want a sticker, anyone out there, you just let me know. I'll mail you one.
I
Um,
love it. I'm giving it a couple
I
people.
mailed her, of course, some stickers when I got them. But so yeah, my food processor is by Salad Master. And I had like a Salad Master party just so like I can get that. I'm not gonna lie, because that thing is bitching. Like you put cones on it, you put your vegetable, and you just do this. It takes like 5 minutes to do all of those vegetables, and then I kind of braise it with a little bit of lemon, so it lasts, and because it lasts a long time. So those are just little tips from me personally and what she's sharing. Um, but I want to get into like why is it so important? And these are for viewers that like I've never even heard of like, what working out means and food means and hormones mean, but why is it so important to work out?
Well, I mean, there's so many health benefits to being physically active. Obviously, as you get older, it's for your cardiovascular health, it's for your bone density, it's for your mobility. And if you don't have muscle, like then you become so much more feeble and weak over time. And so your posture changes, your immune system gets compromised when you have no muscle, when you have no muscle strength. Then, and that's when you start getting injuries. That's when you start seeing this massive deterioration
Right.
in generations, especially our older generation, when they stop getting physically active. You've probably seen it with loved ones too, but I've seen it with my family. My dad stopped getting physically active and just kind of fell into this. And he used to be like, he's the one why I got into fitness,
Yeah. Oh,
because
that's crazy.
he would take me to the gym with him. I would beg him to take me. I was 14 and I was like, I want to go with you. And he's like, all right, come on. And so I'd go, and then he got me a trainer to learn how to use some of the equipment. And so then I was like, oh, okay. So I get it. And then that was just like what I knew, like that was our thing. And then, life things happen and his whole
Yeah.
physical energy changed. And I just watched his health deteriorate in like, it seemed like overnight, which it wasn't. It was like a span of 10 years. And it was so sad because he was only
Yeah.
63 when he died. And I'm like,
Mhm.
that is like so unfortunate because it could be different.
Right.
Right. So it's just instilling in the longevity of your life. Like, if you want to have a long, fruitful life, like, then fucking work out. Quit
Yeah.
saying like you just don't like it or have no energy for it. Like, you don't have energy for it because you're lazy and you eat like
Yeah.
shit.
Yes.
Or you're around lazy people. Like, ditch the lazy friends and go find some physically
Absolutely.
active ones.
Yeah.
Go hike, go do yoga, like play tennis. It doesn't have to be doing CrossFit or hitting a Orange Theory class or something
Right.
miserable. Like, go and do something that's enjoyable.
Yeah, definitely find out what you like. I mean, for me, I played soccer for a long time, and then I was just like, nah. I hated going to the gym. My girlfriend would always make me, and then she would always make me do like crab walks. And I was like, this is so dumb. So it's just important to find out what you like. I was a team player in soccer. And so when I found CrossFit, I was like, this is a team sport. And then I just got really addicted and I'm super competitive. So it was really fun for me, but it taught me so much about like, nutrition and what it means to stay active. And you see all these people that have done yoga till they're like 100 years old and they're like amazing. And I mean, I don't have kids, but at the same time, like I work out for them. Even though I don't have them, I'm still around them. And I might have more in my life just by someone who I'm with in the future. You know what I mean? I want to stay active for them. I want to stay active for me. I want to stay active for my partner and my business because you're constantly moving. And when you see like older folks when they start hunching over, it's like their muscles are going away. They're not getting fluid into their joints anymore. And that's why you see people that start lowering their height. It's all because of that. And so find out what you like. And also, you can work out just using your body, just using things around the house. There's so much online now that is for free, like on YouTube, like how we're on YouTube today. There's so many things. So just find out what you like. And if you don't know what you like, hire somebody. Hire
Hmm.
somebody. Taryn also, if you hire her with nutrition, she also, you can hire her to coach you for workouts. I know she's also a coach at F45, which is a really cool, it's kind of like CrossFit, but not, but it's very cool. Someday I want to, when I live closer to an F45, that's where I'm going,
You know
because you
what? For the
also,
competitive person, I'll tell you, like a lot of us
uh,
joke because you get competitive in there,
yeah,
but with yourself, it's a healthy competition. But we don't
totally.
call ourselves a bunch of washed up CrossFitters because we loved CrossFit,
Yeah.
but it's not serving us anymore from injuries or whatever. So it's a very nice kind of happy medium.
Yeah, and that's what I've started doing after CrossFit. I joined functional fitness gyms, but now in Colorado, I'm too far away from a gym, and luckily I have a gym at home. But someday, because it's the community, and that's what's also awesome, you guys. If you join a gym, like whatever you like, you'll get the community around you, like pumping you up, and like you want to see those people every day, and it is healthy competition. I mean, absolutely, absolutely. Um, so when if someone wants to hire you, Taryn, for your amazingness, like what can they do and why would they choose you?
My glowing personality and my maturity
It is,
level.
it's true. True.
I'm a straight shooter, and so I don't sugarcoat anything when it comes to working with clients. And I do it in a very loving and supportive way, but I also am not one that's gonna like coddle the excuses, right? Like somebody's coming to me because they've, allowed the excuses to kind of get the better of them, and they're like, okay, I'm just fed up. I'm sick and tired of it. I need some guidance. I need some direction.
Right.
So, majority of the people that hire me probably know, in some regards what to do, a very baseline of what to do, but they don't want to do it without accountability. They just need some hand holding, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then, and because I'm very education based and how I work with clients, I want clients to be taught and learn the
Mhm.
information that I've studied for years, but in, microbites and actionable and relatable pieces so they can go, oh, I could totally do that. And I could
Yeah.
probably do that for the rest of my life.
Right.
Because I told you from the very beginning, like I want to work myself out of a job with you because I
Yeah.
don't want you to rely on me for the rest of your life. And I don't
Right.
want you to rely on me even for longer than 6 months. Like you
Right.
should be able to have the tools that you need to be able to carry on and continue on this because you've learned how to set your macros. You've learned how to adjust them when you need to adjust them and when to recognize when to adjust them. And,
Right.
for the females, we do talk about hormone cycling and
Yeah.
how to understand, hey, when you touched on bananas, we're talking about you're eating too many of them. That time they just weren't serving you. And maybe later on down the road, couple months from now, you might be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to try bringing back in a banana, but I'm going to bring in half and see how
Right.
I do and learn how the adaptive phase of reintroducing foods can really be beneficial because you've got to have this robust um, food opportunity. So it's not just this, oh, I'm having very bland, same foods all every single day. Like your optimal metabolic health is going to just be fueled by all these seasonal and well-produced foods. So, I think people, I'm hoping the reason why people want to work with me is because I tell you like it is. I'm going to educate you. You have to be the one to do the work. So I tell them like,
Yeah.
if you're ready to do the work, then we can do this together. But if you're not, and you want me to basically hand you a cookie cutter plan, I'm not your gal. I
Yeah.
don't cookie cutter plan anything for anybody
Yeah.
because you and I are different.
Yeah.
And even somebody that's had children and of same age as me, we're so different. Like we are going to respond differently to food because we are hormonally different. We're
Right.
culturally different. We were raised on foods differently. We have different
Right.
relationships with food. So all of that has to be a part of the equation. And that's how I try and serve with each client and allow them to see the individualized approach, whether we do private one-on-ones or they join my group coaching and go through our macro course.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I will have all of that information in the link below. I will link what her coaching group is and her Instagram. And I love it. I've had clients, I've just like reach out to Taryn, even if it's a question. A question can change your life, how it's answered.
Mhm.
And I love that Taryn, she is like very straightforward. And that's how I like things too, because you can't sugarcoat anything. You know, you shouldn't sugarcoat anything like, yeah, yeah, this is what's going on in your body. So you got to get rid of it. Just like my birth control is like, okay. Because I trust her. So why do you think macros are so important to our bodies?
Well, I mean, if you kind of look at it in a different light, that well, macros, everything we consume has a macro attached to it,
Mm.
right? So your body has to be fueled by a balance of macronutrients. And so for those that are like, what the hell is a macro? Anyways, it's your macronutrients are three things: carbohydrates, fats, and protein. So if you don't have a balance of those foods coming into your system, then you're going to be hard pressed to be able to see fat loss. I'm not just going to talk about weight loss, but fat loss and
Right.
building lean muscle, which generally that's most people's goals, right? Like maybe not to get ripped and jacked and have a, 2% body fat, but they want to have just a well balanced, healthy body. And so you have to have an appropriate amount of macronutrients for
Right.
your body. And so understanding what macros are and what your body needs is so important to the longevity, right? Just as it
Right.
is moving your body, getting sleep, managing your hydration, understanding how much protein, for instance, your
Yeah.
body needs. And I remember that that was like the one thing that we focused on at the get-go is like, let's just focus on protein
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Prioritize your protein is what I tell clients. Above anything, like when you're first starting, prioritize your protein.
Yeah.
And that is such a regulation internally for satiation. So it's going to help you stay full. You're going to feel a dose of energy. You're going to see over time fat loss. And
Mhm.
it's the building block actually for building lean muscle. So there's so many things that protein does. And then you layer that in with the optimal amount of healthy fat your body needs. You've got supports your brain function.
Yeah.
It regulates your hormones. And I feel like fats and protein are like a double whammy when it comes to hormone regulation for women.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hands down, when I get my clients to an optimal amount for their bodies of taking in protein and fats, they find a whole shift in their hormonal energy. So
Yeah.
when I say hormonal energy, I mean they're finding their cycles are maybe more regulated and they're less symptomatic. They
Yeah.
find that they sleep better. They
Mhm.
find they wake with a little bit more energy. They find their workouts are more performance based,
Yeah.
meaning they're seeing more longevity in their cardio. They're seeing they're picking up heavier weights. You got some freaking pull ups, strict pull ups. I mean, all, that wasn't just because you ditched bananas, but you did so much work to
Yeah.
surround that
Yeah.
and obviously working on the mechanics of getting a pull up.
Sure.
But just having that adequate, and if you hadn't had your adequate amount of macros for your body to serve where it was at energetically, then you probably, be hard pressed to get there because you wouldn't have the energy needs that you need in order to have that performance output. So
Absolutely.
macros allow for that performance, that energetic output that we need in order to just basically live our lives and exist, but also do all the cool shit, lift all the heavy weights, run all the marathons we want to run, sleep the sleep we want to sleep because we want to get good sleep. We don't want to have just a shitty
Right.
4 or 5 hours of sleep. We want to have a solid 6 to 7, 8 hours of sleep because we've nourished ourselves enough that our body knows how to disconnect and have that adequate sleep to get into that rest and repair mode.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sleep is huge. I mean, if you're not sleeping, your body also has a hard time losing weight.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I have found. So like I mean, and this is, I've talked to Taryn a lot about this because the scale has not changed a lot for me. But that's because, like, you guys, like, off birth control of 20 years. I've been off of it since April,
Mhm.
adjusting my new hormones into my life, adjusting, I eat so much, more than I ever have. And it, take pictures of yourself, because when I took my recent pictures in September, I was like, okay, I see it. I see the changes, and that's all that matters to me, right? And I think the slow game is the winning game, because everyone wants to lose weight tomorrow. And that's the society we live in, is that we want it now, 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 now. But that is not the case. Like, and I will tell you from experience, and Taryn probably can tell you this too, when you lose weight too fast, guess what comes back on super fast?
And then some.
Weight. And then some.
Yeah.
Some.
Yeah.
So it's been like so awesome to just be like, download my fitness pal, it's free, and just put my macros in there, and I do eat a lot of the same thing all the time. And so I don't really have to track, unless I change something, unless I change my macros, I'll start doing it again to like make sure what I'm doing. And what's cool about like my fitness pal that I learned from Taryn is that if you know that you're going out and you're going to have like, like a couple drinks, like you don't want to have a lot of drinking when you're losing weight. It just doesn't work. But you can put in like your like 2 tequila shots, or because that's like the best thing that you can drink because it doesn't have sugar in it, or just on the rocks. You can put in your dinner. You can look up a restaurant and kind of guide yourself and put that in first, and then you know what to eat for the rest of the day before you go out. So it's really nice to know, because if you don't know, then you have no idea, because I think a lot of people don't eat enough. And when you have made people write things down, I'm sure they're like, "Oh my God."
Yeah. It's eye-opening. I mean, even just
Yeah.
for wherever you're at in your journey, for someone like myself, when, I'm like, okay, I'm eating things that I know are healthful for me, or, performance based, but it's easy to get off track too, and you lose sight of your portion control, or forgot that you like, people are like, that funny, I think it's Instagram reel that's going around, like, all those people that say they forgot to eat lunch. It's like, well, I forgot that I ate lunch and I ate a second lunch. Like, it's easy to,
That would be
it,
me.
I eat so much, and I'm a volume-based eater, that sometimes I'll go and I'll try and get my macros nailed down and write it, put them in my app, and I'm like, shit, I forgot I ate that. Dang it. And I've blown through my macros because I
Yeah.
forgot I had another meal or another snack or something. So
Yeah.
it's easy to get off course with it. When you
Yeah.
just go like, oh, I'll do that later, or I think I know what I'm eating. So
And it's so easy. It's so easy to keep track of. Like, it's like stupid easy. So don't be afraid to write it down. And how much time do we have? Okay. Um, I wanted to ask you too, like, this is something I just learned from you. This is for women, like how important it is to know what when you're on your cycles and everything like that, that you can work out differently. Like, I
mm,
did not know that. And so I've listened to my body so much more when, I'm on different cycles, and it really has helped me a lot, and I feel stronger. And when I don't feel stronger, I, watch where my cycle is. But can you talk a little bit about that?
yeah, oh, I love talking about that. So I call that cycle syncing your workouts. You can cycle sync your nutrition, you can cycle sync a whole bunch of things, but just on the fitness realm of things, because, so this is more in tune for those that do have a cycle on a regular basis. So, women that have a 25 to 28 day cycle, right? So those that don't have a cycle because they had a hysterectomy, menopause, or, still on an IUD, that you don't have a natural cycle, then you can stimulate that and you can kind of recreate it, which that I won't go that route right now, but we'll talk about, for those that do have cycles, your body has, with the influx of hormones at the first part of your cycle versus the last part of your cycle, the latter part of your cycle, as you're gearing up to have your bleed, your the energetic needs are changed drastically, because your body is working so hard to basically prepare to get pregnant, right? Because it's you're going through the ovulation phase where there's a lot of energy that goes into the estrogen and the testosterone, and all your levels are shifting dramatically during that. And it's then as it's release the egg, and okay, bingo, you're not pregnant. Now you're going to go into your luteal phase and into your bleed. Then you're like, okay, your body's just drained because it's gone through so much. So you're having your cycle and you feel that natural drain. Like I find I feel that natural drop in energy just after my ovulation and through my luteal phase right before my period. Um,
Right.
and so that's my cue that my workouts need to change.
Yeah.
Now, I still go to F45, but I won't hit the cardio days as intense as my competitive self wants to.
Yeah.
I'm ruined and I don't feel good. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
feel good to push myself.
Right.
We aren't designed to go all out and as heavy as possible
Right.
24/7, like, or 30 days out of the month. We're just not designed to, men and women. Like our bodies need a little bit more of that regulation, and having, the weeks that you go all out and you hit your PRs, and then you have weeks that you just, have some more aerobic based cardio. You're going for a run, you're going for a walk, and then
Right.
anaerobic moments, and then maybe the more zen moments, which I say to reserve for the second half of your cycle when you're getting ready for your bleed, is to like ground yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Have those, those long walks, those meditative like movements
Yeah.
that just kind of take that energy and just allow it to be repurposed in a way that is supportive of where your body's at,
Right.
versus trying to deplete it even more by I've got to get this PR with the deadlift, or I got to get the fastest in the
Yeah.
gym, or whatever kind of like,
Yeah.
silly thing that
It
we tell
makes so
ourselves.
much sense because even in like my competitive CrossFit days, there'd be like weeks where I'm like, dude, I just don't feel good. I feel like shit. My workouts are like shit. If I would have known that, I would have respected it more. Be like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Because like CrossFit is so heavy loaded all the time, 24/7. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that, it just makes so much sense. So like if you do any kind of workouts or really high intensity like CrossFit, like pay attention to that because it's a game changer mentally, and it will be a game changer in your body. I like 100% feel that because I don't do it perfectly, you know what I mean? But I just listen to my body more and just pay attention on my little tracker on my phone. Like,
Yep.
okay, why am I feeling like this? Oh, okay. I need to change a little bit of something in my workouts.
Hmm.
And I definitely find that like, lifting weights as you get older is so important too. And just like keeping that meat on your bones, girl, like
Yes.
it's so, so
Strong
important.
meat.
Yeah, right. The good stuff. And as we kind of get into the end of this conversation, I want to talk about what you're doing, Taryn. I want the world to know what you just started yesterday.
Oh, yes. Well, because of you, I was inspired to finally pull the trigger and start my own podcast. So it
Excited.
launched yesterday, which was my birthday, which, by the time you guys watch this, it'll be, about a weekend, but it's called Taryn Swears. And kind of fitting if you guys caught the gist of my personality here in the last hour that we've been chit-chatting.
Yeah.
All things nutrition, mindset, and hormones. So I'm really, the whole kind of like catch to it is I really want to dumb down the sciencey jargon as it relates to nutrition, so people that are listening
Mhm.
can relate. They can go, oh, I can do that, because they're getting actionable pieces out of the conversation or out of the story,
Yeah.
which you'll be on there to share yours here soon. So um, it's really exciting, and I really owe a lot to you for the motivation and just watching you thrive with yours here on YouTube and your channel. It's been so cool to watch your success evolve from it. So thank you for inspiring me.
Oh my God. Thank you. I mean, I think we actually were on the phone on Zoom when I was telling you about it. And this was like, I mean, we're on episode 18 already, and it's just like, just to do it and add value. And I'm so excited that you are starting this. So if you guys want to hear more and more and more from her, check out her podcast, Taryn Swears. I also will have that in the link in the bio below. Um, because I feel like the other problem with society is we're not being educated at all anymore, like at all. So the more you know,
The
the
more,
more you know. If
yep.
you grew up in the 80s, you know what I'm talking about. But
We
the
need
more
to,
you know, the rainbow and the star, you know what I'm saying?
yep.
But the more you know, and that's, kind of why, nutrition has been important to me because I just studied it. I just listened. I read this book or I hired a coach, like when you know what's really going on in food and when you know what's really going on with your hormones, you pay attention to everything and your life will change. So if you want to hear more on top of everything that Taryn's going to be doing, listen to her podcast because I think it's going to explode
Thank
because
you.
women and men need to hear it. It just, we need to be educated on it. And it's like, again, our society, like, oh, just take this pill, you'll be fine.
Easy.
And
Yep. Button.
that's not the right route. And so I encourage you guys to listen to her podcast. I encourage you guys to share it if you know someone that's struggling or, just needs more information. Like Taryn's the easiest person to talk to. Hit her up on Instagram, hit her up on any social media platform. She's just so easy to talk to because she really loves she wants you to win. She wants to help you. So I'm excited. I'm so excited. I'm so proud of you. Like, I think it's so great that, we want to help the world. And I think you're a great friend to be doing this with. So I'm very
Oh,
appreciative of you being on this episode tonight or this morning or whenever you guys listen to it. And as we end this call, there's one more thing that I always want my peoples to share when they come on here. What is the one thing that you would tell the world or anyone who's watching, like what they can do if they really need help with their nutrition and their mindset?
stop waiting for Monday. Stop
Hmm.
waiting. Just stop waiting. Like, oh, I'm going to wait until after this birthday party. I'm going to wait until I get back from this trip. I'm going to wait. Like, just stop waiting and just reach out to whoever. Like, even if you see somebody on Instagram that you just vibe with their message, send them a message,
Yeah.
like just reach out to somebody or your best friend. Like, let's be accountable. I have to make a change. Can we go out for a walk?
Yeah.
Just anything, and just starting to change those small behaviors and just start doing something and stop waiting
Yeah.
is really going to be the simplest.
That's great advice because when you reach out to someone, they're going to say yes or no.
Yeah, totally.
So just do it. Reach out to her, you guys.
Yep.
Um, again, thank you so much for coming on, Taryn.
Thank
And I can't wait to talk to you next week.
Yes, awesome. I'm
I'm so
excited. So
excited.
thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. It was good to see you, and we'll talk more later. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Comment any questions below, and we will get right back to you. Okay. Have a good one. Bye. Oh, there we go. End meeting for all. Okay. Go pick up your kid. It was so
Okay.
good talking to you. Thank you so, so, so much.
Oh, you're welcome. That was
So much.
great. We'll be chatting next week. So I'll look forward
Yeah.
to it.
Me
Okay.
too. Me too.
Yay. Okay. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye, honey.
Okay.